run Empowered STEM. And Empowered STEM is an A-level course provider, and we provide A-level courses in chemistry, biology, physics, and maths for those students that want to enroll in medical, dental, veterinary, financial, and engineering programs at the chosen university in the UK. So today, in this live stream, I wanted to come in and I wanted to talk about a topic that we're asked about a lot by the parents who enroll their teens in our courses. And it's this one. It's, Graham, how can I help my teen get back on track for the university entry? To be honest with you, the latest results that they got me into a bit of a panic when it comes to the university application. Their predicted grade, they weren't predicted an A-star in year 13. And the mock results, Graham, God admit, a little bit lacking. All right, so I'm in a bit of a panic because they're not going to get the predicted grade or the mock result that they need to get into the top choice university. And, we may have to go into clearing, or they may have to do an alternative degree. What am I going to do? How can you help at Empowered STEM? Well, what you need to understand, parents, is this, is that we help a lot of students turn things around in chemistry, biology, physics, and maths. Let's be honest. When they come to us, a lot of them have C's, D's, E's, U's, a B. They're not at their predicted grade. They're not sitting, the mock exam isn't an A-star. They're not at the top of their game. But we can turn it around, and we can turn it around in a very short period of time. And so in this video, what I'm going to do in this video, in this live stream, is I'm going to show you some steps that you can take, parents. Hey everybody, my name is Graham Matthews, and as you know, I run Empowered STEM. Empowered STEM is an A-level course provider, and we provide A-level courses in biology, chemistry, physics, and maths for those students that want to enroll in medical, dental, veterinary, financial, and engineering programs at the chosen university in the UK. So today, I wanted to come into this live stream and I wanted to address a question, a topic that we're asked about all the time by the parents who enroll their teens in our courses. It's this one. Graham, I need your help. We've got to get my teen back on track for the university entry. This is the problem. The latest set of results that they've got me into a bit of a panic, Graham. I have to admit, they weren't predicted an A-star, and the mock exam result, lower than expected. And so I'm really concerned about them getting that position at the #1 university choice. Okay. What can you do to help? Well, let me address this one, parents, like this, is that we help a lot of students turn things around. It is possible for your son, your daughter to turn things around in A-level maths and A-level science. And in this video, in this live stream today, I will show you some steps that you can take, parents, to help your teen turn things around. Now, this is the problem. The problem is this, though, is that it isn't the fact that they got a bad test result. It isn't the fact that the predicted grade wasn't high enough. It isn't the fact that they got a bad mock result. That is not what the problem is. The problem is that your son, your daughter, teens, they lose confidence after they get a bad test result. To them, well, it's the end of the world. Well, Mom, Dad, look at this result. I got an A-level chemistry. I got a D on the exam at college. I mean, look, I got a D. I put all the time and the effort in. Time, effort, and attention. Well, I got a predicted grade of a B. And my mock exam, after a year and a half, mock exam result, I mean, look, I got a C. What am I supposed to do? Now, to them, one bad test result, one bad exam result is the end of the world. what happens is, parents, is that unfortunately you do compound the situation. You do make it worse. Now, I know that you love your son, your daughter, you're trying your best, but what happens is that you go into panic mode. You go, oh, well, they got a bad test result, a low predicted grade. The mock exam wasn't exactly stellar. You know what you need, son, daughter. What you need is that you need some more tutoring. You've got to put longer study hours in. That's what you've got to do, isn't it? But the problem with that is that it's the wrong approach, parents. And so what happens is that you're not helping your teen by piling on tutoring, by making them study longer hours. What you're doing is that you're stressing them out. And because you're stressing them out, you're making matters worse. What happens is that they get burnt out and then they just give up. And then we have a problem. So the real issue then, it's a confidence drop. The problem is it's a confidence drop in your teen and their perceived ability at being able to do A-level biology, chemistry, physics, or maths, all right, to the A or the A-star standard. But what we found at Empower STEM is that it's not intelligence. The real issue is not intelligence with your son or your daughter. They are smart enough to get the A or the A-star in A-level maths and A-level science based on their GCSE results. They should be able to get an A or an A-star. It's not intelligence. What it is, it comes down to three things: clarity, strategy, and mindset. They don't have clarity. They don't have strategy. They don't have the right mindset. And because of that, what happens is that they just start to fall apart in year 13. So parents, need I say it? Now, at the core, all of the courses that we offer at Empower STEM, baked into every course that we offer at Empower STEM, is clarity, strategy, and mindset. And so the students enrolled in our courses, they're really clear about what they're doing when it comes to A-level biology, chemistry, physics, and math. They have a study plan. They have a revision schedule set up. They have a strategy. They know how to answer the questions. They know all the tricks that the examiner is going to put on the exam. And they've got the medical mindset to go with it. Because the issue is this, parents, is that most students, they don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they've never been taught how to recover. Let me say this one again. Let's break it down. Most students don't fail because they're not capable. Your son, your daughter, they are capable of earning an A or an A-star in A-level maths and A-level science. But the issue is, when they fail, they've never been taught how to recover. So when they fail at something, when they get the bad test result, the bad exam grade, the bad predicted grade, the bad mock exam, it's a knock to their confidence. And then because it's a knock to their confidence, what happens is that they don't have a plan in place in order to recover and pick themselves up after that and then move on. So what we need to do then, parents, is that we need to reframe the result. The very first thing we've got to do, this is what we teach our students that are enrolled in our courses at Empower STEM, is number one, you've got to reframe the result, because it may be a bad grade, a bad exam result, but to us, it's data. And we love data. At Empower STEM, we love data, because then it gives us something to work with. It gives us something to work on. It is a starting point at which you can improve. And the result that your teen gets in A-level maths or A-level science, it tells a story, doesn't it? There is a reason behind the grade. Like, why do they get a bad grade? Why do they get a bad test result? Why was their predicted grade not high enough? Why did they not score higher than the mock exam? There is a story behind it. But what you've got to do is that we need to unpack that story. We need to find out why they got the bad test result, the bad exam grade. And then we need to reframe it. So we don't think of it as, oh, you know what? It's the end of the world. I got a bad test grade in chemistry. My predicted grade in biology wasn't high enough. This is the end of the world. I'm never going to be a doctor. No, not saying that. What we're saying is you look at the result and you go, okay, now why exactly do you think you got this result? Well, and then the story comes out, doesn't it? All right. And then how can we reframe it? So we're not going to dwell on the past, on the negative, on the test result. We say, right, how exactly can we reframe it? Is there any feedback that we can get from this? Meaning, well, did you have a study plan in place? Using the 6 pillars of neuroscience, which is what we use at Empowered STEM. Do you have a revision schedule in place? One that builds on a solid foundation of concept knowledge and focuses on exam technique, and then moves up to motivation. If you did, or if you didn't, there's one thing that we can improve, number one. But number two, it also teaches resilience and reflection. Now, resilience, it's been overworked. Parents, after Carol Dweck wrote the book Growth Mindset, all the teachers have done for the last 20 years is beat your child over the head with the word resilience and growth mindset. If you don't have the growth mindset because you're not doing as I tell you to do, all right, therefore you don't have the growth mindset, you have a fixed mindset. That's a different live stream, by the way. But it does teach your teen resilience, which means if something doesn't go according to plan, then you have the capacity to look at it as feedback, adapt, and then move forward. And it means that you can reflect. You can reflect on what went well or what needs to be worked on. Because when you think about it, parents, when you think about it, what do you think universities want? What are they looking for in the applicants for medical school? Do you think that they're looking for perfect scores? Of course, every teen that applies to medical school, they've all got the A's and the A stars. They've all got the gold Duke of Edinburgh award, haven't they? They've all done the extracurricular activities. Yes, it's like looking at photocopies of the same thing over and over and over again. What they're looking for is they're looking for the teen that exhibits resilience and can reflect on the feedback from something that didn't quite go well. And so when you talk to your teen about it, you may say, well, you know what, son, daughter, when you pop off to university, you're going to get a bad test result, a bad exam grade. Of course you are. It's life. It's called learning. You can't learn something if you always get it right, because if you always get it right, you knew it in the first place. But what this is an opportunity for you to talk about on your UCAS statement, for example, for you to talk about how something went wrong, and then you had some feedback, and you looked at it from the point of view of feedback, and then you practiced resilience. You got up and you just reworked it, and you moved forward, and you reflected on everything. Because what universities are looking for, like I said, is that they're looking for students that are not perfect. They got the grades, but they've shown they've overcome adversity. Now, what we've noticed at Empowered STEM is this one, and there's studies out there that prove this, is that The teams that learn to analyze what went wrong, whether it's a content, like a gap in the content knowledge, something wrong with the exam technique, the mindset wasn't quite right. These teams grow faster as individuals and in academics than those students that always got it right and never stumbled. Well, that's a pretty interesting thing to think about, right? The teens that learn to analyze what went wrong. Oh, I got the bad test result. Let me look at it. Was it a gap in content knowledge? Did I really know the content the teacher was talking about? Was it exam technique, or was I making silly errors? Rushing questions, not looking at command words? Or was it my mindset? Yeah, was it my mindset? Was it kind of given up? I was stressed out. I couldn't believe I could do it anymore. Right? Those teens that can analyze a result through a critical lens grow faster in academics than those teens that always get it right. Because those teens that always get it right, they've never had the chance to practice resilience and reflection on feedback. So, how exactly do we help teens then at Empowered STEM? I've been talking about this for a while now. At Empowered STEM, we help your teen earn an A or an A star in A level, biology, chemistry, physics, or maths, so that they can be competitive candidates for medical, dental, veterinary, financial, and engineering programs at the chosen university in the UK. Well, what we do is we follow a 4-step pathway. Very first step is known as precision diagnosis. When your teen starts one of our courses, the very first thing they do is they take a baseline exam. And the reason why they take a baseline exam is so that we know what they know or what they don't know. It's like going down to the doctors and getting a checkup, right? So number one is precision diagnosis. Number two is conceptual clarity. Now, I've got to pause on this bit because conceptual clarity, this is what differentiates Empowered STEM from the other people. Okay. Conceptual clarity, we make sure that your teen really understands the concept and they can apply it under novel situations. So they really understand the concept. This means that they understand the concept forwards and backwards, left and right, up and down, all the way around the outside. There isn't anything you can ask them about the concept that they can't answer. And they can apply it under novel situations because parents, anybody can memorize. Memorize is the lowest form of learning. It's the lowest tier on Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. But what do you think that the examiners are looking for? They're looking for students that can apply the knowledge. The previous live stream, I went through this. The reason why they're doing this is because too many students are getting the A and the A star. And so now they've made it so that you've got to be able to apply the knowledge to situations you've never seen before. To really understand if you can be a successful candidate at university. So what was happening is this. Everybody was getting into university and then they're all failing out the first year. Right. So conceptual clarity. Third one is robust exam technique, exam strategy. Now, again, it does not mean that your teen memorizes stacks and stacks of past paper questions and just hopes for the best. Because parents, think about it. Once every 5 years, the exam board, they update the exam syllabus, the questions. And if they're looking for teens that can apply the knowledge, do you really think that they're just going to reuse a question from a past paper, one that they could have memorized? Or are they going to change it, come at it from a different angle, maybe a different command word? Okay. And so exam technique, the way that we teach exam technique is this, is that Yes, we go over command words. We go over how to answer all the different types of questions. The 1 marker, the 2 marker, the 3, the 4 marker calculation, the 5 marker mechanisms, and the 6 marker essay question if you're inside A-level chemistry. But it's also, and this is what differentiates us, this is what distinguishes us, is this bit, is that it's also that we teach your team to think like an examiner. And this is the important bit, to think like an examiner. So when they look at the question, they're able to read between the lines. Like, what are they really asking? What are they really getting at? Where's the examiner traps and pitfalls? What do I need to put in to make sure that I get the top grade, the 6 out of 6 on this type of question? As well as medical mindset. The medical mindset to us, it's we teach your teen, your son, your daughter, how to think like a doctor. Okay? Because again, there's a lot of stuff out there on the growth mindset. It's a bit cliched in my opinion. But with us, what we do is we help rewire your teen's identity so that they would become, they believe they have the behaviors, they have the skill sets that they need, so that they would become the type of student that would earn an A or an A star in A-level maths and A-level science. And we use the 6 principles, the 6 pillars of neuroscience. We draw on from academic coaching and everything else to really give your teen the mindset that they need to be successful in A-levels and beyond at university. Because what we found is this, parents, is this. As soon as we pinpoint what's holding your teen back, as soon as we figure out what's holding your teen back, then the progress begins to accelerate. So as soon as we figure out this is what's holding your teen back, let's fix this bit, the progress begins to accelerate out. They start to really climb the path up to the A or the A star. Why? Because they have structure. And structure is one thing that your teen is most likely lacking. Now, parents, what exactly can you do then to help your teen make a comeback from a bad test grade, a bad exam result, a low predicted grade, a bad mock exam? Well, number one, like I said, reframe it for them so they don't think it's the end of the world. Think it's just feedback, resilience, reflection. This is what the universities are looking for. And then help them set some short-term milestones. So things that they can do in 2 weeks, things that they can do in 3 weeks. For example, say, well, I got a D on this test. Well, this means then in 3 weeks, I have another test. What I'm going to aim for on this, the next test is a C. And then as soon as they get a C on that test, I'm going to aim then for a B. Or if I'm writing up my lab reports and I'm getting a lot of reds and ambers, well, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to spend extra time on it, an extra half hour, 45 minutes a week, and I'm going to make sure I get greens. More greens than I do reds and ambers. So short, measurable goals. They're known as SMART goals. In the business world, they're known as SMART goals, okay? But also lean into the principles of neuroscience we use at Empowered STEM. For example, if they get a bad test result, it could be the study skills. So maybe you need to sit down with them and put together a study plan. Help them put together a study plan. We talked about this in a previous live stream. But when they're revising, maybe they're not revising in the best way. Maybe they're not using the 6 pillars of neuroscience. So, for example, active recall. Rather than them passively rereading the textbook, watching YouTube videos, copying over the notes, passive learning, move it over to active learning and help them start to practice active recall, meaning quizzes, give themselves a short quiz. Do the Feynman technique where you have to teach it to somebody else. Do the exam questions under exam conditions with the answers covered up. Also help them with exam practice, because a lot of time they know the content, but they haven't put in meaningful exam practice. And what this means, parents, by the way, is not they just memorize a bunch of past paper questions. I did not say that. Exam questions, exam practice under exam conditions. Number one, they learn how to sit a 2-hour paper or a 1-hour paper from school, right? Number one. But number two is that they know how to read the exam questions and look for command words. They begin to recall the content that they need in order to answer the questions. For example, if it's a 6-marker question, well, then there's a certain structure that the examiner is looking for you to move from one tier to the next. So you move from 2 points to 4 points to 6 points. And it's gated, meaning if you don't get everything in line, you can't have 6 points, there's something missing in the middle. Okay? So the way they answer the exam questions is something else. And I would also say, help them reflect, help them review, the feedback on a weekly basis. Okay, again, you're not looking for perfection. What you're looking for is progress. What I mean by this is that at the end of the week, it's Friday, they come in from college, they're tired, okay, right? Ask them, hey, do you want to sit down for 10, 15 minutes? Let's like talk about your week. How did your week go? All right. What exactly did you achieve this week? And they may say, well, I did my studying for A-level chemistry. Mom, Dad, I did that. I did some past paper questions. Yeah, that went well. But with biology, I kind of run out of time. Okay. You don't pick up on what they did wrong. You pick up on what they did right. And so, okay, that's brilliant, son, daughter. You almost got it. Now, what can I do to help you get next week? Do everything, the chemistry, the biology, and the math, for example. All right? Because what you're really doing, parents, is that you're rebuilding confidence. Because when they get a bad test grade, they are gun shy. It's like, oh, I got a bad test grade, right? I can't do this. To get this like phobia going, and the belief system begins to crumble, and beliefs and behaviors and values are all interconnected. What you're doing is that you're helping them rebuild their confidence. And how you can do this is have the understanding that structure replaces stress. Right now, your teen is stressed because they got a bad test grade, a bad exam result. They are stressed. Okay. Don't add on to the stress by saying, we need to get more tutoring. You need to spend more hours studying. What you do is you help them put structure into their lives. And this is a previous live stream. Teens need help organizing their lives. They do. All right. Now, again, what we've noticed is that as soon as you start to put structure into your teen's academic life, the structure replaces the stress. And when the stress is reduced, the results follow. Because like I said, it's belief, behaviors, and values. They're all connected together. And so as soon as you start to replace lack of organization with a structured plan that they've bought into, that replaces the stress. Stress means they start to believe in themselves again, the confidence starts to increase, and results follow. Now, parents, as always, I'm always asked this question at the end of the live stream, is this one. Yeah, but Graham, do you have a story? Well, I do. The one story that comes to mind is Harry. And Harry is not a typical, he isn't a special student. He isn't a special case. This happens to all of our students, okay, in this one. But Harry is just one of these students that I think really embodied it. When Harry came to us, Harry had a D in A-level chemistry. And I can recall talking to his mother. He had a D in A-level chemistry. And his mum said, you know what, Graham? All Harry wants to do is be a small animal vet. That's all he wants to do. But he's got a D in A-level chemistry. He can't even get an interview for vet school, let alone be a competitive candidate. He was let down by his school. Yeah, this is one that we hear all the time. He was let down by his school. In Harry's case, his chemistry teacher was ill for a year, and so the class was being taught by the science technician. He was basically given a worksheet and told, go down to the library and teach yourself. He walked out with a D. So Harry's mother came to us. She found us on the internet, came to us, enrolled him in one of our courses, our A-level chemistry courses. And Harry put in the time, effort, and attention. He really worked it. And Harry transformed his grade from a D to an A. When he resat A-level chemistry, he earned an A, which means he was now a competitive candidate for vet school. He got into his chosen vet school, his number one choice of vet school, and he is now studying to be a small animal vet. Now, parents, I tell you that story because you know what? If it worked for Harry, it's more than likely it's going to work for your son, for your daughter as well, right? Now, why? Why am I confident in this? Because what you got to do, parents, is this: is the reason why it worked for Harry and all the students is this one, is that it reconnects them to their why. It reconnects them to their identity. Because when your teen is reconnected to their why, like, why are they doing this? Why does it matter? Why am I doing A-level chemistry, biology, and maths? Why did I pick these A-levels? Why did I want to be a doctor? Why did I want to be a dentist? Why do I want to be a veterinarian? When they're reconnected to their why, what they're really doing is they're being reconnected to their identity, their purpose in life. And so studying, it no longer becomes pressure. It becomes purpose. They're doing it for a reason. So putting the hours in, strategically putting in the hours, means that every question they get right gets them closer and closer to the chosen goal. Arnold Schwarzenegger had a brilliant quote about this one, and he said this. He said, people ask me, oh, Arnold, how can you go down to the gym and lift weights all the time? Isn't your body sore from doing this? And all you do is lift weights, and all the other bodybuilders down there, they all look miserable. But you don't. You look happy. And he said, you know what? Because every weight that I lifted, every set that I did, every exercise I did, I was getting myself closer and closer to lifting up the trophy and being Mr. Universe, like the best bodybuilder in the world. Because he had reconnected to his why. And so when your teen reconnects to their why, what happens is that the motivation increases. And the motivation increases because what they've really done is they've reestablished their identity, the reason for doing it in the first place. And so to them, they can reconnect and say, yes, my identity is I am a doctor, I am a dentist, I am a veterinarian. This is how I identify. And because of this, I have a purpose. And the purpose is that I'm going to be a doctor, a dentist, a veterinarian, and work in a second or third world country or whatever their purpose in life is. And it connects to the why. And when we get this, what happens is that your teen begins to put in the effort, they switch up their study skills, they switch up the revision strategies, and what happens is they start to walk the paths to the A or the A star of chemistry, biology, physics, and maths. So, parents, it's not the end of the world if your teen gets a bad test result, a bad exam grade, the predicted grade is not high enough, they got a bad result in the mock exam, it's not the end of the world. We don't panic. We don't put on the sense of urgency. What we do is that we think strategically, and you help them reflect on it. And it's feedback. I can use resilience. I can reflect on it, come up with a plan, and then start working the plan and rebuilding up to the A or the A star. Now, if what I'm saying, parents, in these live streams, if it makes sense, if you go, Graham, you know what? Every week you come on to Facebook and YouTube and you give us some knowledge, you give some information, some tips and some strategies based on scientific principles of neuroscience and academic coaching to help our teens get the A or the A star. I'm really grateful for it and I want to learn more. Okay, you can do a couple of things. Number one is if you're on Facebook, like the Facebook business page, and then you will be informed of the next live stream coming up. Or if you're on the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can access all the previous live streams that we've done there. And again, you will be notified of the next live stream coming up. And if you want to learn more about our courses at Empower STEM, our A-level courses in chemistry, biology, physics, and maths, then all you've got to do is click on the link in the description. And on Facebook, it's below the video. On Facebook and on YouTube, it's in the description below the video. And it's a really easy form to fill out. And what will happen is a member of my team will reach out to you and you will have a non-committal conversation. It's not a sales call. What is this? Is essentially you can talk to a member of my team, ask all the questions that you want. And what we're going to do is understand where your teen is in terms of academics and where they want to go in terms of grade, what university they want to go to, what they want to be on the outside of university. And then we'll tell you about our courses and answer all of your questions. And so you can make an informed decision of what you want to do next. And if it's a good fit for your team and it's a good fit for us, well, then you can choose to move forward. So having said that, everybody take care and I'll see you in the next one.